How's it feel to be part of the organization again and get back into hockey again?
Great. I mean, when I had the opportunity to get back in, it was, for me to come back here, where my career ended. It was, couldn't ask for a better opportunity. Honored to be back here. Love it here. So I'm really looking forward to the opportunity.
What were you doing before this, and did you miss the game?
Yeah, I was, trying to get back in over the last year. I've been coaching high school hockey back home. And I was in real estate, for work. But in terms of getting back at the pro level, that's what I was looking forward, trying to get to do. And when this opened up, I put my name in right away and heard back quickly. And I was very fortunate and honored, to get this chance.
How have things changed since you've been here last? I mean, obviously this is all new.
Yeah, obviously the new facility here, it's I was joking, it's nicer than some of the NHL practice facilities I've been in. So it's like, I think guys got a great setup here, and it's really second to none, in terms of this level. And in terms of any other changes, obviously that's the biggest thing.
What do you remember most about your time here? Obviously, you were part of that run that went to the finals that year. For captain here, what stands out to you the most?
I'd say the group of guys I played with. Still talk to a lot of the guys that I played with. We had a great close group of guys with great coaches. We were a team that I think excelled a lot because of our leadership, our coaches, and because of character in the locker room. And those are things I'll try to portray and bring along as a coach.
How is it for you? Last thing for you, to come to training camp as a coach and see players start their careers kind of like you did, years ago. How's it feel to watch it from another perspective?
Yeah, obviously, you still think like, you go on the rink to, get ready for camp, and you're gonna put your jersey on next week playing a game, and you can't do that forever, obviously. And come back as a coach now. It's my last year playing when I got hurt. Dan gave me the opportunity to stick around as as an assistant coach. I kind of knew my career was over, and back then I knew I wanted to get into coaching, right away. And Dan always said, Gove, you got to get into coaching. You're going to be a head coach someday. You should really think about doing this. And so I've always wanted to get back into it, and for me to get that chance to come back to here where it all ended was pretty neat.
Can you talk a little bit about that playoff? You were talking about it before, just that playoff season and what your memories are from that. You were talking about the mural in the other room and things like that.
Yeah, no, the year in my first year here, I got traded at the deadline, and I walked into a locker room not really knowing anyone on the team, and the guys welcomed me with open arms, and I fit right in. I would say the day I got here, and it was a group of guys that we really cared about each other, and I think you saw that. I think the community, kind of rallied behind us too, because they saw we were a great group of guys, and we were a team that with coaching and the guys in the locker room, we achieved a lot. We made it to the conference finals. Made it to the finals, and ended up losing Chicago. But it's a group of guys that I talk to a handful of guys still today, and it's a special memory for me.
About that game 6 that you were just talking about before.
Yeah, I was joking to Leachy because he didn't know that game was up on the mirror in there, and Leachy's on the ice, and that's the game 6 when we came back, and game 7 we won 2 games in a row here against Portland, so I certainly had to give Leachy a hard time about that.